Welcome back. Time now to talk some politics. Democrats apparently increasingly anxious that former President Trump is gaining ground in the 2024 presidential race. So much so that former President Barack Obama is reportedly advising Biden to restructure his campaign. This according to a report within the Washington Post. The advice coming during a private lunch with Joe Biden at the White House.
Jonathan Harris is with us. He's a Democratic strategist, and Mehek Cook is an attorney, a Republican consultant. Thank you both for coming on to discuss a numerous amount of topics that we have for you. We'll start with this. As Dems are fearing the resurgence of former President Trump, even former President Barack Obama advising the Biden campaign to step up its efforts here. Jonathan, I'll throw this one to you. It's not just Obama, the Washington Post reporting, but also James Clyburn on CNN saying that he has no issue with the Biden administration, but he does feel that this campaign isn't doing enough to hit back on MAGA voters, as he calls them, and also Trump, the current frontrunner for the Republican nomination. Jonathan Harris, your thoughts on this? Is there a real concern for the Biden campaign?
For what it's worth, I believe a senior Biden campaign official went on, I think it was Meet the Press, and said that this story was not accurate, that President Biden and former President Obama are in regular communication, and that the what is alleged in the Washington Post story didn't actually occur. But this election, if it ends up as it looks, if it's going to be between President Biden and former President Trump, is really just going to boil down to one simple thing, which is, do you want the guy who says he's going to be a dictator on day one, who regularly borders on quoting Adolf Hitler, or President Biden who doesn't do that? That's it. That's all this election is going to boil down to. It's not difficult. It's an open book test. Yes, people fail those, but that's what this is going to come down to. I don't think that it's going to come down to, you can throw all the stats. You can say GDP is up, wages are up, we hundreds of thousands of jobs added every month. But that's really what this is going to come down to. It's just going to come down to dictatorship or democracy. And so,
Okay, we just want to get Mehek's response to that, because a lot of people might be watching and saying, wait a second, I see this election a totally different way. Mehek, how do you view it?
Well, I think the real big guy, Barack Obama, is recognizing that Biden's current messaging and strategy is not working. There's a self-destruction that's occurring in the Democrat Party, and it's been caused by Joe Biden. We're worse off than we were 4 years ago. And I don't know what stats are being quoted, but I can tell you, all you need to do is look at your bank accounts, 401k. We have lost $33,000 in this economy as we continue to work harder and harder. And let's not forget our empty shelves with baby formula, crippling gas prices, and we have a national security crisis at our southern border. And this has been single-handedly caused by Joe Biden. So there's no amount of campaign advisors that are going to save Biden's campaign. He has robbed us of a strong economy. He has robbed us of security at our southern border. And many believe Joe Biden lacking.
How can you possibly say that President Biden has robbed us of a strong economy? We have hundreds of thousands of jobs added a month. We haven't had an economic crash like we had under President Trump. President Biden hasn't given us a recession. We defy expectations every single month. They were forecasting recessions over and over and over again, and month after month, year after year, that hasn't happened. That's just ridiculous. If you're upset about people, the inflation and all that, you should look at where it comes from. It is not from President Biden. It is, you can either say that it's from Trump, or you can try to throw him a bone and say that it's from the pandemic. But to blame that on Biden, who came in and cleaned up Trump's mess, is ridiculous. I do think that President Biden should get a little tougher with his campaigning, absolutely. But I think he's a slow and steady wins the race kind of guy. It won him the election in 2020. It caused his party to perform much better than history says it would in the midterms. And I think that is his strategy going into November. I want a little bit tougher of a strategy, but he won in 2020 and his party performed very well in the midterms. I think that's what he's going to do going into November.
All right. Final thoughts from Mehek on that, and maybe a comment from Jonathan there.
Well, I think at the end of the day, we've had a lot of job loss. We've continued to look at inflation numbers, and that is a direct result of Joe Biden's policies. He took away the ability for America to be energy independent. That means ensuring that we had fracking and gas lines and dependent on America rather than foreign oil. In addition to that, just look at gas prices today. When you are an average American, regardless of your politics, you're paying more at the pump. When you're going to grocery stores and we are struggling to pay for just our groceries, and average Americans are trying to decide between, do I fill up my gas tank or do I feed my family? Those are the issues that are impacting us today. There's a housing crisis. We can't afford affordable housing. That's a joke today. People are going and looking at mortgage rates. Our 401ks are down. So if you just look at your bank account and compare it to 4 years ago, I can tell you, neighbors, friends, average Americans are struggling. We're working harder, but we're getting less at the end of the day. And that's a direct result of Joe Biden.
All right.
What you're blaming is actually capitalism. I'm not sure how familiar you are with it, but gas prices and many other things, if you actually look at why those prices went up, it was companies raising them so that they could make up the money that they lost from COVID. That's what capitalism does. If you have a complaint about capitalism, be my guest, but usually conservatives don't.
All right, we're going to wait and see. Leave it right there. Watch important how the economy will play in the race for the White House in 2024. Always interesting to have this sort of back and forth, different perspectives right here on National Report. Appreciate you both coming on. Jonathan, Mehek, good to see you. We'll see you again soon.